Yes, dude. Yes. Good morning, LFQ.
Good morning.
Welcome. Love it when you're here waiting for the show to start, brother. Yeah, it's the news today is very obviously Nintendo centric. They did the thing. What's up, Adder? So, yeah, we got Switch 2. Lots of Switch 2. Like pretty much every article on VGC is about Switch 2 right now. Looks like it's going to be really expensive compared to the first Switch. They're going to do a cheaper one that's under $330, but I guess it's like region locked for a little bit, so they see how it performs.
Dude, Adder, don't get me started.
I don't know. Oh no, multiplayer Bloodborne 2. Yeah, no, Tony's very upset about that. That's actually
I
good.
was watching that trailer, just like so excited, and then start looking at some of the details, and it's kind of looking like maybe it's a little closer to like Night Rain or something. I don't know. There's no details yet, but it says it's very multiplayer focused, so we'll see.
Do you want to play it real quick, Tony, so that because I didn't get a chance to watch it this morning?
Yeah, let me find it.
His teammates are getting hostile over split opinions. Yeah, dude. I definitely don't miss that about working in the game industry. When people just get real upset in like work chat about fucking shit that is yeah. We had the whole Sekiro difficulty debate at Bungie, and it got out of control. Like leadership had to step in and be like, don't talk about this anymore, guys. Relax. Yeah, no worries, Adder. BRB. Yeah,
okay,
Tony,
sorry, my GPU just started freaking out. I'm back.
Okay, no worries.
Let me get it pulled up here.
Sweet. Multiplayer Bloodborne 2 is so funny.
So
I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be still good.
Pause music.
We have to believe in From. Okay, so Switch 2. Oh, Tony's got the trailer. There we go.
All right, let's do this. Hold on, let me get my sound right.
Yeah, no worries, dude.
Okay, here we go.
I give you.
There's From
My
back on their
blood.
fingers bullshit.
I give you my life. Turn, O wheel, and transport him to a night of moonlight, to humanity's very dusk.
That's a nasty scar. Oh shit, do you think we're gonna get tariffs on Japanese video games?
Maybe not since they're published by Americans sometimes, but I don't know.
Like those fucking Rocketeer chunky Gross titty frog.
Close your eyes and contemplate now the moon, as befits the soon to depart.
I pray that you are able, carrier of blood.
T-Rex form pretty hype. Yeah.
The moon tears will flow for one, and one alone.
How do you even put that on your head? Yeah, I mean, bro, what are they doing? Hopefully it's just good and we don't have to worry, but we'll never know. What's up, Brightside? Nah, this is an old IP, but it's a very beloved one. This is the second installment of the IP that everyone has been waiting for forever. There was never a PC release of the original game. Oh, I'm way too loud, sorry. There was never a PC release of the original game. So this is the first announcement From has made about the IP, and it's Switch exclusive and has multiplayer, which is contentious to say the least for the Bloodborne community. Tony, thoughts?
We'll see.
That's
I don't know. I mean, I'll reserve
skeptical
judgment
tone.
until we know a little more. Hopefully, it's cool and does well and makes more people interested in Bloodborne. Maybe it will lead to us getting Bloodborne remastered. That's all I really want these days. So.
Bloodborne 2, but Sony owns the IP, so it's renamed Dustbloods and seemingly slightly changed up to avoid copyright. I see. That makes a lot more sense. I forgot that Sony probably, because Bloodborne was a Sony exclusive. Interesting that they're now going Nintendo exclusive. Master was in dev, but you think they canceled it? I mean, yeah.
My conspiracy theory is always just that they're keeping it in the back pocket for when they really need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. They don't want it to compete with their other IPs and stuff.
Or due to like the weird ownership problems because none of the other games are that way. It could also be FromSoft kind of like being stubborn and using it as leverage against Sony or something.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that makes sense. Maybe they can't remaster because Sony owns it and they're like, we want to do it on all platforms. And Sony's like, no.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something like that, I would imagine.
I bet you they do the master or remaster when they get those rights back. And then it'll just be ready and they'll drop it.
Yeah. Well, the theory always was that Bluepoint was going to do it because they did the Demon Souls one as well as a couple of other remasters. Camera cut.
Oh, your camera's weird, bro. Frozen, Tony.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, my entire screen is turning off and Unreal's probably crashing. Definitely something weird going on.
Your mic is still working. Unreal is loading, Tony. Yes, correct. Well, the screen went black.
Yep. Oh, it might. There, yeah. See.
VTuber confirmed. Yeah, exactly. What you guys don't know is that we don't actually look like this. This is all like VTuber technology.
GPU crash. Fun. I might.
GPUs hate this one trick. Yeah, do whatever you got to do, bro.
I'm gonna reboot, so I'll leave you guys with events for a minute.
It's just me, chat. Tony's gone. Everyone get crazy. Everyone switch seats so that Tony doesn't know who we are. I'll be LFQ. Adder, you can be Tony. I know he'll probably see through that really quickly, but it'll be great. LFQ, you can be me. Anyone else can be me. Yeah, Acid, you could be me as well. Acid, you have to be Adder. I don't know how this works. We didn't think this through very well. Do I get to wear the hat? Yeah, man. You can do whatever you want. Tim Robinson skit? I don't know, man. I'm just being weird. Yeah, so lots of Switch 2 news. Lots and lots of it. I would say, news, air quotes, news, because it's basically just like regurgitated articles out of each like bullet point of the Nintendo Direct. So it is what it is. Apparently Helldivers 2 is not doing well. And they had a significant fall off after they had to do the thing with the PlayStation Online or whatever, PSN account, and that never really repaired the fan base after they reversed that decision and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, I guess they're saying it was really hard on the studio. And let's see, the Game Business reported they did an interview with Yoriani, Shams Yoriani. I don't know how to pronounce his name. You might be able to help me with that, LFQ. Yeah, so don't worry, Simple. We'll show off the nubbies. Tony's rebooting his machine, but he built some nubby stuff for the coin pusher, which is cool. But yeah, so it looks like all of that shit was really bad for Arrowhead, which is interesting. Helldivers 2, the CEO of Arrowhead did an interview with the Games Business, I guess is the publication, but was talking about how horribly the Sony debacle with the PlayStation Online account, PSN account, whatever it is, requiring to link those two things to play on Steam, that like directly harmed the studio is what he was saying. They were doing better than like Gears of War Ragnarok. They were having a great time, and then it just like massively shrunk. Yeah, and he was saying like we're trying to catch up to getting too big too quickly. So that was interesting. But yeah, I guess there's not much in that interview other than like, yeah, this sucked and it was bad. So you guys were right. It did hurt the game in the studio. Switch 2 Pro Controller will add a much requested feature. Let's see what this clickbait is. Oh, the new controller will also feature the mysterious C button. That's what they're saying. They're talking about a patent for the controller. So the C button is like the thing. We don't know what the C button is going to do yet. Yeah, LFQ, I think they had to remove the barrier. And the only reason they were able to is because they were able to be like, this is hurting the fucking game, guys. Like, come on, we can't do this. So that's what it sounds like occurred. No guy will ever find it. Yeah, we will have to wait and see. Good one, Brightside. You're not usually a pun maker, but, you know, it's okay. Your comedy is higher brow than puns, dude. Yeah, Larian CEO, I'm with you on that, Adder. Yes, he's going hard, like talking shit, but I think he should probably slow his roll a little bit. He got, you know, lucky that there was a lot of positive reception of it. Because I remember when BG3 came out in early access, pretty much everyone was like, it's not done. Don't get it yet. We don't know if it's going to be good. There was a lot of that. And then, of course, when it came out, everyone's like, greatest game ever made. So, you know, it's it's easy to get a big head after that, I think, when you're outperforming much bigger games with much bigger budgets, more renowned studios. I can see where he's coming from. But yeah, he's definitely popping off. Let's see. So another weird thing about the Switch 2 updates is that a lot of the titles that are on Switch now are getting updates for the Switch 2, including like achievements and shit. So I don't know what any of that means. None of us really know what it means yet.
We know it costs extra money.
Yeah, the Switch is more expensive. The games are going to be more expensive. Tony was saying that it seems like if you have like Mario Odyssey and you want to play it on the Switch 2, you have to like either buy it for Switch 2 or upgrade your version, something like that.
I don't know that you have to, but it's that the upgrades that the new console power would afford you are not unlocked unless you pay for it, basically, is kind of the vibe that I got. Like you play Tears of the Kingdom and it's going to be the Switch 1 performance and stuff like that, or you could upgrade your Tears of the Kingdom for some amount of money. I don't know if they've said how much it's going to be yet. And then it'll have like 4K and HDR and a higher frame rate and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate because I was talking to Vince about how Sony has done a similar thing with PS4 games going to PS5 and doesn't charge the owners anything. If you owned that PS4 game and you play it on PS5, I believe it just runs better and has a bunch of new shit, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the double dipping thing is going to be just the way it goes. The whole industry is trending that way, and the only way we can stop it is with our wallets. So as much as we want the new thing, just be careful about what you're buying, because that's the only thing that will actually like make a difference. Yeah, Simple says, I got it in early access and didn't touch it for a year until it was closer to release because it was in bad shape. Exactly. Going to make a headset for the Switch 2 so I can swap between console and VR. I don't know. Is that like a request?
It's been rumored for a long time, but you know, who knows if it'll ever actually happen. But they did make there's a Labo thing that you could put your Switch into that made it like VR kind of, that I don't know, made everybody think that they were, you know, trying to lean into it more.
Yeah, I think Nintendo is really shy of VR after the Virtual Boy. I thought it was a cool console. I liked it. I played a couple of games on it. There weren't very many. The cool one was that space shooter thing. I don't remember what it was called, but that was fun. The parallax worked really well on that. Also, Virtual Boy, if you guys have never used one, is not VR. It's just like parallax 3D stuff.
It has,
yeah, bro.
It has like stereoscope though, right? Because it has two eyes.
Sort of. I mean, that's how they. So it was a combination of things that like forced your eyes to do stuff they didn't want to naturally do. So it caused headaches because of that, because you were forcing your eyes like out of focus to see things in a certain way.
I remember I remember hearing a story like they were so nervous about it causing adverse health issues on people that when they were like initially demoing it, they wouldn't let people play it for more than like 5 minutes or something like that, and then they would make them take a break, because it sounds like they were just kind of like, well, everybody else who played for 5 minutes didn't have a problem, so we're just going to go with 5 minutes for now until, you know, somebody starts having a problem. They didn't really have any like basis of why they were doing things the way they were doing them, which is kind of funny. But now they talk about, they're like, the Virtual Boy had no, you know, negative health effects on anybody who could play it for hours, and you might get a headache because it's causing your eyes to do like weird focusing shit, but other than that, it was fine.
Yeah, and I definitely as a kid was like, I will continue to play this regardless of the adverse health effects, and it was fine. But yeah, it definitely left you like very fatigued with a headache after playing it for long periods of time.
All right, I just opened this Unreal level again. We're gonna see if all my shit goes down. We'll see.
And yeah, Adder, shy, VR shy in 1995, absolutely true. I mean, like, Nintendo does that. I think Japanese companies tend to do that. They're not super risky on those types of things, especially when it comes to hardware. They'll do it for software for sure. But I think it's easier to recover from that. I don't know.
Which is like an interesting statement because they're very hardware centric, but to your point, their hardware is not risky. The Switch is like a mid-tier cell phone in power at best, and that's not a risky move for them. Those are very easy off-the-shelf components that everybody knows how to work with, and pretty rock solid these days.
Yeah, LFQ, that's how the Virtual Boy worked. It made you do the cross-eyed like VR thing with parallax as well. So you had like multiple competing fields of focus for your eyes, and that caused the problem. You could get used to it, but it was like it took a while, and you had to like take breaks and like go back in and shit like that. Japanese are mega slow to evolve. They're still stuck in 2001s as a culture. Exactly.
What month of 2001 specifically? It's an important distinction.
Was worse than 2007 fake 3D TV stuff that
March 2001. Okay, so
yeah, I'd agree.
We were still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as a human society. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's I guess like Switch news. Okay, so you guys might be familiar with this, but there's a game that launched last week that started getting popularity that I wanted to talk about because I think that it's really good for artistic expression, but it's really bad for the state of the industry and how people perceive games. The game that I'm talking about is Schedule One. I think it's good that it's a very well-made game. It's apparently a great survival crafting game. What I think is problematic is the subject matter. They're not even like pretending. It's like actual real illicit stuff that hurts people in real life, and it's like a glorification of this culture and this activity. They put it in like a cutesy wrapper, which makes it worse almost. Like in GTA, for example, there's generally negative consequences to things. In Schedule One, it's kind of like funny and not really. Anyway, what I think is bad is it's going to give people like Tipper Gore ammo to say games are bad for people, and there's still a perception that the only people who play games are kids, and I think that the reality is the majority of people who play games in general are probably like 12 or like 8 to 28, something like that. So there's a tight window. So when you're thinking about that and you're making the stuff that appeals to a younger audience, what you're doing is saying like, it's totally cool, man. Go make the, crazy stuff that's bad, that hurts people and causes problems for humanity, but go do that in like a really fun setting and become, meth lab empire type of a guy. Like, so I'm saying that it's good for creative expression, because we need to just allow art to be art. But video games thread this weird needle of like simulation, imitating reality. And when we go down this road and we make stuff like this as an industry, we give a lot of ammunition to the people who want to regulate the art form and say like what can and can't be done. I mean, it's already happening in the EU. It has been for a while. I think like Counter-Strike is a really good example. You can't have like representation for certain factions. Blood is limited in certain ways in parts of the EU because it's like too violent. And it's Counter-Strike. It's like a 25-year-old game, so it's kind of crazy that is being limited. So when you have games like Schedule One, I doubt this will ever see release outside of the North American market. It might, but I sincerely doubt it, and it would have to be a completely different version. So,
I mean, since it's a self-published indie game, it might be available worldwide, but yeah.
I think that it'll be banned in markets, and that will happen. And yeah, Adder, I thought it was funny until they showed them prepping bricks on a table. Yeah, and then it was like too real. I thought it would have been funny if they had like silly names for the things, but they literally have like street drug names for the products you can craft. And I'm like, this is too serious, guys, especially in like the goofy aesthetic they got going on. So
the most unfortunate part about this particular discussion too is that supposedly it's like a very well-made game, and it has 45,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and seems to like take the whole simulator thing that is a lot of like shitty shovelware games usually and like actually make it a well-made game. But yeah, I mean, you to Vince's point, you could have replaced this with tongue-in-cheek fake names, or just like conceptually something different, and keep this entire, you know, well-made game around it, and it seems like it would still be really fun. But
I feel like there's no message of like, hey, don't do this. You know, in every way, this game is like, you should probably do this, and I think that's bad. Also, Tom McGee, what's up, dude? Yo, thank you for coming through. We saw your follow when we were offline last week, so that's really cool. Good day. I can't do a good Aussie accent, so I'll spare you the pain of hearing me try to do that. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. How did you find us, and you know, like what made you want to come check us out? I'm very curious about that, because it's cool when we get people, you know, when we're offline, who find the channel and come through. So it helps us like understand how to make it more appealing for people like you. But yeah,
you name it Beth.
What's that?
Simple Sin says, like, instead of meth, you name it Beth. Do the Japanese approach.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Nice
that would have been
Beth.
better.
Yep.
That would have been way better. I'm with you on that, Simple Sin. So I have misgivings. I have concerns. I'm sure it's a really fun game. It's cool. I know a couple people playing it, and I've been really wanting to pick their brains about it and see what's interesting. I also had the thought of like, can you make, because I know that there are systems that apply like toxicity, so you can actually manufacture products that kill your customers because it's too toxic and dangerous, or like makes them go crazy and shit like that. So can you make things that only have positive benefits, and those are illicit substances that you distribute? Like, that would be cool, but I don't know, man. I feel like I'm reaching here to try to find real big positives in this game other than game is good. But again, I think that's a testament to the things that I've been talking about, where AAA has been fumbling, is that game is good, will sell games, and will attract gamers regardless of what is in them. A clear example that I think is really good and healthy for the games industry is Nubby's Number Factory, hence the title of the stream today. I've watched a lot of Nubbies on streams, a lot of Northern Lions, some Chibli, some other guys who were playing Nubbies and kind of like at the forefront of it. It's a really good game. And the reason why it's really good is because it has a lot of layers that work well together to give the player agency. So having choices within a system of constraints is great game design. So if I compare this...
Vince and I sat and played this game together in person all weekend.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing. So a very good game.
Yeah, so when I'm saying that it has good game design, it's the system of numbers behind the scenes of like, this thing multiplies, this thing divides, this thing, you know, gives you bonuses, this thing does stuff based on how many multiplications or divisions that you have. All of the synergies there make the game really good.
These are like your Bellotro jokers here at the top. So you have a very similar system to that, but that's applying all of those modifications to this kind of Hegel style type thing that's going on. But it's exactly the same as Bellotro. You have like a round goal that you have to hit, and if you don't hit it, then you lose life and eventually will die and lose the game. And
yeah, if I compare this to Billionaire, I would say Billionaire is a much better looking game, but the systems aren't as robust. You can basically break Billionaire systems, and what I mean by that is like become unbeatable with a couple of combinations, and those don't really change, so you can kind of always go that route and then have a really successful Billionaire run. Nubbies gives you so many choices within their constraints for how to synergize and do interesting things with your build. That shows me that it's better designed. Like they probably started with make good game first, make all this work really well. Whereas I don't know the Billionaire, the math doesn't seem to work out as well to be compelling because it breaks really easily. So I guess that's the thing that I'm trying to say. Tom McGee says, found you through the Whisper breakdown VOD on YouTube. Been on a Destiny nostalgia trip lately. That's awesome, dude. So I'll lean back here. So this is my Whisper replica. I can't pick it up, unfortunately. Otherwise I'd show it to you. We tried doing that in the first like 2 months of stream, and as soon as I picked it up, the YouTube algorithm or whatever, the bots on YouTube, shut our stream off immediately. And we got like a notification saying, hey, you can't handle firearms. And I'm like, this is not a firearm. This is like a plastic prop. So unfortunately, can't do that. But yeah, I love it. You know, Destiny was a long time ago for me. We're talking like going on 6 years now. But it was a really big part of my career. I did some really cool stuff in Destiny. It was really fun to talk about. So if you ever want to talk about Destiny, I'm very open to it. So
Adder, it was crazy. It was like
instantly,
like 2 seconds, no question.
We instantly got an email. It was like, here are the rules you violated. Don't do this again. This is a free warning. If you continue to do this, like, we'll potentially shut the channel down. It was crazy. So
yeah, like I remember seeing videos of people testing it, and it was just like, turn stream on, hold gun up in front of camera, stream will die. Like they have some sort of like computer vision thing that's just like, I see a gun, kill the stream.
Take it easy, Simple Sins. Have a good doctor's appointment. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Anytime. Come through. You know, you know where to find us.
And again, we've talked about this in the past. Like the idea of that system is to prevent somebody from streaming gun violence, which is a very good idea. I think it's probably like okay to have that as just kind of like a default safety mechanism to ensure that that never ever happens, because it definitely has in the past. So
yep.
Yeah.
So YouTube is just very tight on a lot of that stuff. Twitch is obviously not. Twitch is pretty open, and they don't have, you know, it appears to me that they don't have the same tools that Google has for recognizing things and then auto banning. For what it's worth, it was nice that they were like, hey, here's, you know, just don't do this. That was cool. We could turn the stream back on immediately. It was just more like, we're just warning you, don't do this. So I appreciate that, as opposed to like scorched earth and we're gone forever. We have to make a new channel and everything. Like that would have really sucked. So
yo, they brought the Dreadnought pack.
So I last played when they reprised Whisper in 0 Hour, when I did the like interview with Old Man Mikowski. I don't know if you saw that stuff, Tom McGee, but yeah, that was the last time I played. One of the reasons why I left Bungie is because I didn't like the direction the game was going in. If you look at the Whisper in 0 Hour, the way I made them, why I made them, all of that has evolved into a strategy that went against the pillars of design that I established for that type of content. What I mean is the paid dungeon passes are a really good example. They were always meant to be free. And while I was there, I pushed back really hard against that. And I was like, you can't monetize this shit, guys. That's not how it works. So as with all things in the game industry, someone has a really good idea that makes something that's great, and then the business people get a hold of it and then just squeeze the life out of it and turn it into this like desiccated shell and throw it in the trash and then make a new thing. So that's where I was at. I have played a ton of Destiny in my time. I want to say like, you know, over 3,000 hours of personal time. And that was playing outside of the studio. And I played every day in the studio because it was a part of my job. We also did like structured play tests where the whole studio would take like a day or two off and play through all the new content to understand where the weak points were. So I've played a ton of that game. There was a time when I loved it. It was my favorite game, and that time is gone for me. And I think it really started with Shadowkeep and the way Shadowkeep was designed. I didn't enjoy that model. A lot of emphasis on leveraging human psychology against the user to make them play the game, instead of saying this game is good and fun and you should play it because you're enjoying it. It's more, I need to keep playing this game because I can't get this thing and it'll never come back, and it's going to require 40 to 60 hours of my time within this 1 week period to get. And if I don't have it, I'll feel bad about it. That is where the game design went, and that's not my favorite shit. Yeah, and Adder did some work on Destiny 2 as well. So yeah, Adder was at a partner studio, so he can relate. He knows what it's like.
Yeah, I had to use Jira around the time I was playing Destiny 2 as well, so I feel you.
Adder slowly pushes rifles into a corner out of camera view. Yeah.
They can be in the camera, you just can't touch it.
Exactly. They can be displayed, but the moment a person, I think the rules were like handling, demonstrating operation of, or discharging is all against the rules. So, and I think the reason why they structured it that way is so they could still have some gun tube, but at the same time, they were like, to Tony's point, you know, preventing live streaming.
It's just not streams. Like, you know, there's plenty of gun YouTube videos, but I believe they're not monetizable, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, you can't stream. So.
Yeah, and exactly what Nox said, FOMO. Fear of missing out was a turn of phrase that was used very often by creative direction when I was working on Destiny. In the context of, like, in the most positive spun way you can imagine. If you think about it any longer than, you know, 10 seconds, or in the context that we're having this conversation, instead of like, I'm a leader of a business and I'm getting everyone on board with my vision and this is going to be great and it's going to be really positive and we want to do this because it's good for players. It's good for, you know, like you get all of that talking. You're like, oh yeah, I see what they're going for. But if you kind of ask questions and you think about it, you're like, I don't fucking like this. This feels bad. And that was where I was at. I really didn't like the idea of a premium game with paid expansions, a season pass, and microtransactions. I didn't like any of that all being in the game, so that was bothersome to me. Yeah, Jira is like a corporate thing that people do. Tom McGee, we checked you out a little bit. I know you do some comics stuff, so I don't know what your professional experience is like. So if you want to like talk about that at all and tell us a little bit about what you do, like we love meeting creatives. That's a really important part of our community here, and people sharing their work and talking about what they do, and you know, helping each other make cool stuff. That's a core part of Fractal Grove. Brightside Movement in chat, he's working on a bunch of stuff, and we've helped him out, and we, you know, it's been good. Yeah, Nox, I'm glad you're here. I always appreciate it when you're in the YouTube chat because literally no one else is. And I like that LFQ engages with you over there too. That's great. But yeah, bug tracking. Honestly, understandable position on the game. It's so tough to sell my friends on playing it. It's been a cornerstone of my life. Keeping inspired by it. Final Shape made me cry a couple times. Yeah, totally okay, man. I felt that way.
We were there for many years. Totally. So
I felt that way about D1 and D2. And I mean, I worked on D2. Like, that's what I was hired at Bungie to do. So I got there around House of Wolves time. D2 was being created. There were a lot of ideas. There was a lot of stuff to be worked on. So I did open world and quest and encounter content. I did that for like 5 years. Yeah, I made a bunch of quests, all kinds of stuff. I think I worked on D2 launch. I did EDZ and designed the dish area, which was Firebase Hades. I built the Devrim K quest line for the main quest. I helped block out the Red War main quest. After that, I went on to... Oh, I did the quest. I did the Titan quest with the captain that you save or kill when he's fighting the knight. That turned into Mithrax. Mithrax became a core character in Destiny 2. So that's really cool. I'm going to get a dog and name it Mithrax. So it'd be Myth for short, which I think is neat. But anyway, all kinds of shit like that. After that, I worked on Curse of Osiris. I did the Saint 14 quest line and brought Saint 14 into D2. That was the one where you like found him in his the mausoleum, the shrine to Saint 14 at the center of the Vex Machine of Mercury. Let's see. After that, I did some Infinite Forest stuff as well, and then started working on seasonal content and worked with a guy who pitched like, let's bring back Black Spindle. I was like, fuck yeah, I know how to do that. That'll be easy. Let's get it done. And that was the Whisper. And then Whisper was super successful, so we made 0 Hour with more support. I tried to improve on everything that made the Whisper frustrating or difficult for players to get into. So yeah, and I made Mithrax the central supporting character for the narrative in that. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Zinc? College student, no work. Cool. Yeah, I've got a weird webcomic called Brain Drain at the moment and a little short story on the side. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you for your service. Yeah, you're welcome, man. It's always nice to meet. So one of the weird things about Destiny is that Destiny fans fucking love Destiny, like so much. So I'm semi-famous there for my work in the Destiny community, but outside of that, like I've had crazy interactions with random people in public, having conversations. Like I was at like a Korean fried chicken restaurant and like talking to the dude. He like mentioned something about a video game shirt or hat I was wearing, and I was like, oh yeah, I make video games. And he's like, oh, what do you work on? And I told him, oh, I was working on Destiny 2 last. And he's like, you work on any good games, or like are you not actually a dev? And I'm like, damn, dude, I don't fucking know you. Like you're just throwing shot. I was like, motherfucker, you work at a Korean chicken restaurant. Relax. Like, so of course I don't say that shit to his face. I'm just like, haha, yeah, that's funny. You know, like you got to take it in stride. That's the way it goes. When you do stuff that people care about, there's always going to be some degree of people who are negative about it. It's just the fact of the matter. So, yeah, I like that you guys enjoyed that story. It was pretty crazy, man. Like I've met that guy a few times before he left that restaurant, but he was always nice afterward. Yeah, Tom McGee, I've talked about it a few times on stream too. It was really interesting because Bungie was like some of the coolest career moments for me, but also some of the worst. Bungie famously in the last couple of years, especially with the Sony acquisition and all the layoffs, it came to light that there was a toxic culture inside Bungie. I can absolutely confirm that was true. It's not what you guys would think it is based on how people were reporting on it. It was more, were you a person who worked on Halo? Were you at Bungie since Halo? You're up here. If you didn't work on Halo, but you worked on Destiny, you're in the next tier. If you worked on D2 and you were like brand new to the studio, you were in another tier down here. And each of these was like a different circle of influence, and it highly impacted your success at the company, the power of your voice to influence the game. And there was also this culture of like, we recruit the best and brightest experts in the field to make innovative things that, you know, put a dent in the universe, and we make games we want to play. Inside the studio, the culture was exactly the opposite. They got you to come in, they got you to be, you know, very excited to work on the stuff, and then they would be like, sit down, shut up, do your job, work off of the queue of things you have to get done, and that's it. And don't supply your opinions, because we have enough smart people here that they're making the other choices. So, you know, feel free to take it up with them, but it might not be good for your career if you say some shit they didn't want to hear. So, yeah. Let's see. Peak Bungie headcount in the old building was wild. Yeah, it absolutely was, man. Even with an open floor plan, shoulder to shoulder rows of desks. And yes, absolutely, there's a caste system, Strava. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, Zink said, how did you enter the dev market? Yep, Tony responded. That's the best advice. Just build stuff. That was the first advice I got. Tony, are you rep again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was just build stuff, get a game engine, and learn tools. The game industry is really weird in that I'm sure a lot of people, or you've read a lot of people saying, just go make games because you don't know what you don't know. Unfortunately, that's the truest shit about making video games. You really have no idea what you don't know until you try, and you can't explain it to someone. You can't say, oh, here's that pitfall. Here's that pitfall. This is where you've like painted yourself into a corner, and you can't, you know, you have to redesign something. It's hard. It's a very, very hard thing to do. I had this half-baked...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to elaborate on that point, and then my computer started freaking out. But
yeah, go ahead.
Like, there's obviously much more specific advice that I would be happy to give, you know, pertaining to, you know, Unreal or specific game dev or whatever. But If I was going to give any single person advice on like how do you get good at this stuff, it's just do it. It's going to be really hard, and you're going to be terrible at it at first, and you're going to have no idea what you're doing, but that's just part of the job. You got to figure it out. And with AI these days, and Cursor and Claude and all of those things, it's really easier than ever. And if you're really interested in learning it, go start asking Claude, how do I do X, Y, Z? It'll literally hold your hand and walk you through the entire thing if you're willing to follow what it says.
We're also really happy to recommend things, resources, tools, tutorials, whatever, to help you get in there.
Yep.
Adder says Activision HR was not shy to literally say that to your face. Sit the fuck down and do your work. Yeah, dude. And for what it's worth, we talked about it a little bit. There was open hostility between the internal Bungie team and your partner team. I mean, I still think like we inside the studio, the people working with you guys, loved the Cutie Foots email, the quest the fuck out of this shit email. That was such a good time. But the leadership was not fucking with it. They were really pissed off. And that's kind of silly. Like, we make video games, and having partners that are passionate and excited, that's a good thing. And then, like, with the Warglaive or whatever, the spear from the Warmind that you guys did, loved it. I personally, as a player and as a fan of the franchise, loved that shit. The leadership fucking hated it. They were really mad about it. So I'm sure a lot of that came into play too. Just stupid politics and egos. Tom McGee says Warlock simple tattooed where the bond would be. That's awesome, dude. I love that. I love that I was able to work on something that positively impacted your life and, you know, that you enjoyed and at least like sparked your imagination and made you think about cool stuff and have ideas. Like that's the richest part of the human experience, I think. And then you said, I had this half-baked plan to try and get a job to work at Bungie. When the news came out, I kind of steered away. I know I could probably get good work in games dev, but just lost a lot of steam the last couple of years. Yeah, so here's the thing, Tom. Game dev is really, really hard. It preys on the passion of the people who work on things. And that's another reason why we started this studio. We don't want to be in that position. We want to only foster a team of people who are really excited to work on stuff, but make sure that they take care of themselves. I'm pretty adamantly against crunch. I know crunch is a thing that occurs. It's just a fact of life in the games industry. But as a studio leader, I want to be always in a position that I've made decisions for the business that make sure that people don't have to crunch, but also fostering cross-discipline skill sets and personal improvement is really important. We were working with people who were really good at marketing, and that was kind of their forte, but they started to become very interested in game dev. So we helped them learn things and let them mess around with tools and create their own things. Like, that's a big part of the business. And that's not the case outside of, like, in my experience in AAA and other studios, if you're hired in QA, you're going to stay in QA, and you'll probably be in QA for your entire career unless you make a huge shift and then you start over at square one and you have to build your career back up as a different kind of expert. So we want to stop that shit. We want to make it different. We want to change the relationship between game developers and game players. Yeah, lots of stuff. I think you're smart to not pursue a career at Bungie. It's not a bad idea though, Tom. If you like, breaking in is the hardest thing to do, but once you're in, you don't have to stay where you're at, and you should treat it like a gig business. And what I mean is like a stand-up comic or a musician. You're looking to work on projects. You're not looking to get your forever job at a studio. And there's this other weird thing in the games industry where they sort of market the positions that way, where they're like, we're family and we're all in this together and it's great and we love having you, and like once you're here, you're one of us forever. And like, that's not true. It's just not. And that's a way that they get you to give more of your time and effort than you otherwise normally would. But just know experienced devs are just as frustrated. Yeah. It's I think to Adder's point, and I've talked about this a couple times. It's about 3 years in when someone realizes whether or not the game industry is for them. And people who've been in the industry for more than 3 years, there's something else that draws them to it other than like, video games are cool, I want to make a video game. It's all the good games are made up of that smaller group of people who genuinely give a shit about the medium, and they just want to make good stuff. And that's the driver for everything in the industry. Let's see. I love my job though. Would highly recommend if you have the passion for the craft. Yes, dude. Exactly. There's a reason why I still make games, despite all of the ups and downs. You would be better off if you want to just if you just really like games, you want to play them. You're better off not working in games. There's always the phrase about laws and sausage and seeing how they get made. That does apply to video games. If you enjoy either one, then you probably will hate watching how they get made, is kind of how the cliche goes.
Making games is the game now, Adder. It's the only one that's fun.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
It's kind of how it is for me, unfortunately. But
no, that's okay. It's totally valid.
see, he feels me.
Usually I would suggest not updating drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I really think drivers are actually the reason that I'm having these problems, but I wanted to play Death Stranding, and Death Stranding will launch in like 720p if you don't have NVIDIA drivers installed, and it doesn't let you change any of the graphic settings until you install the NVIDIA drivers. I've never seen a game do that before, but they got me. Yeah.
I also want to caveat what I was just saying about how I don't agree that making the game is the game. Or is the more fun game. Like, I think that is absolutely true and valid for people who are not like creative directors or game designers. I think game designers and creative directors should be playing more games than they make. And that's because you get a better understanding of what's out there, why it's being made, how people are thinking about these things. If you're strictly making games, you're going to do a bad job of designing them, because you'll get stuck in the mentality of like making a game is more fun than playing the game. And that reflects in the shipped product, the final product that you make. There's a lot of designers, like the majority of designers I've worked with and interacted with in the industry have that mindset. And that's where you get really funky experiences where you're like, I don't understand why this is even in the game. It's because the designer loved the idea of making that thing without understanding how that integrates into the bigger space of the game and whether or not it's a positive feature for a player. Yes, Kojima.
No, it's Kojima! Because he made me install drivers.
True.
All right, I'm going to try to reboot and see if this will take, so I'll be right back.
All right, cool. But yeah, I think that's why Kojima is good at what he does. Kojima, I've like read a lot about, and he famously talks about how he's like a really isolated person. A lot of what he does, and that comes just from his childhood, growing up as like a latchkey kid, and he would have to spend several hours at home by himself after school. And he came to like really appreciate that time, and in that time he would listen to music, read books, watch movies, and those are the things that made him who he is now as a creative, is consuming all that stuff. And that's, I can relate to that very deeply. It's how it goes. Work with a Kojima director right now has its pros and cons. Absolutely. I'm not saying it's easy to work with people like us that kind of have that mentality. The hardest part is conveying the vision for like the wacky shit we're trying to make. I imagine Kojima trying to describe a game that is new that he's pitching. I think a lot of people are just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And I've been there. I've experienced that myself. And I'm like, you just got to trust. It's going to be cool. And then as it starts to come together, people are like, oh, fuck, I get it. This is dope. Like, all right, I see what you're putting down. But you need to have faith in that person to do that. And if they don't have their priorities right and they don't have a strong vision, you're all going to be worse for it. So you need that person to do the weird stuff that they do. But I think for pretty much every other discipline, except maybe production, making the game is a lot more fun than playing the game. I remember in the Old Republic, PvP people were complaining Sorks are trash, and the devs said, just heal, what's the problem? Immediately everyone said, clearly you don't play your own game. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge problem, especially in live service games. We had that problem in Destiny a lot. I got this lift operator job in winter at a ski resort. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't able to snowboard. I can't imagine working on a game and not being able to play it, or worse, not wanting to. Tom McGee, boy, I have some trauma from working with people at Bungie. I was talking to a senior designer and I was like, what do you play? Like, what class do you play? And like, blah, blah, blah. And this dude looked at me like dead ass, goes, I don't play games, I work on. And I was like, what do you mean? Haha, that's funny. And he goes, I don't. I need to separate my work from what I do in life. And I was like, well, what do you do outside then? And he's like, oh, I like to hike and like camp and blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing this job, man? Go get a different job so that you can be happier in doing the things you want to do, which is clearly hiking and camping and all that other shit. I want to play fucking video games, and I want to make good video games because I think people are bad at making good video games. Not because I'm like, I want to be the guy. It's because I get so frustrated watching bad games, and I'm like, if you only did this thing, like you could fucking, it would be so much better. So that's why I'm a game designer. I love the strong vision, but the obsession over perfection is exhausting. Yes, dude, I totally understand that. I think the best way I can put it is if you're feeling the exhaustion over that obsession, I promise you the person in that lead position, if they're good at what they do, feels the same exhaustion. And they're like, I just want this thing to be in the shape that I see in my head. And that's why these little details matters, because with these details, it will be in that right shape. Otherwise, it's like outside the lines and some weird shit is going on that I don't want. It's not fitting. So I get it. 100%. Let's see. You play the absolute shit out of the games you're making, but it kills the experience of enjoying a game unbiasedly. Yes, dude, that's my biggest, like, I think that's the hardest part about making cool stuff is when I made The Whisper, I was like, I don't know if this is good. I think it's good because I don't hate it and I can enjoy it on my own and I fucking built it. But I don't know if it's good or not. And then, of course, when it came out, everyone's like, dude, this is fucking amazing. How did you do this? And I'm like, oh, thanks. I think it's bad in a lot of ways. So I'm glad that you like it. I had thousands of hours in COD and Destiny while I was at Abby. Yeah. That means you're a good dev adder. I think that was a skinwalker, dude. What do you mean, Tom McGee? And if you're Aussie, how do you know about skinwalkers? I thought that was a very North American specific thing. You watch a lot of Ancient Aliens or some shit? Not judging. I fuck with Ancient Aliens. It's fun. It's a very funny show. Oh yeah. Like what do they call the Sasquatch? The oh my god, what's he called? He has like a name it. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, but I want to say it's like an Aboriginal name. Drop Bear Skinwalkers, yeah. I was on a multiplayer COD team for a while, so it made it kind of easy with all the shit talking. Yes, dude, yeah. I loved the PvP teams at Bungie. I loved interacting with those guys and like going to their playtests and shit. It was a good time. 1v1 me, bro, leaderboard. Yes, absolutely. That's the type of shit that I love. And there were very few designers that were into that. That's the other weird thing was like working on Destiny. I was definitely in like the top 1% of skill for designers that worked on the game. Most of them were really fucking bad at the game. Like laughably bad. And I remember when I would have conversations about that, I remember one guy saying like, some players just like to play patrol. And I'm like, who? And he goes, I do. And it's great. And I play like 6 to 8 hours of patrol in Destiny every week. And I was like, that's not the game, man. What the fuck are you doing? Like, that's crazy.
That's like part of the game they put in your way to make you play the game longer.
Exactly. There's a skinwalker running for prime minister right now. Yo, dude,
So
that's
good.
great. I fucking love Aussie humor, man. You guys are funny as shit.
What do you call the Sasquatch, though? I want to know.
Yeah, what's the Sasquatch guy called? He has like red eyes. I keep thinking skunk ape, but I know that that's Florida.
Skunk ape?
Yeah, have you not heard about this?
I don't think so, no.
So there's like a Florida Everglades Sasquatch called the skunk ape, and it like stinks real bad or something, and that's why they call it that. It has like a very pungent, distinct aroma.
Didn't realize we had multiple Sasquatches now.
Yeah, dude.
2025, let's go.
New Sasquatch just dropped.
New Sasquatch just dropped.
What's up, Art? Welcome back. I hope you you got your Twitch all squared away and you're chilling and you're having a good time. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about Sasquatches and the Aussie Sasquatch. All right, I have to Google it now. Australian Sasquatch.
We'll see if my computer is dying
The
asleep.
Yowie, dude. It's the Yowie. I knew it had a weird name.
The Yowie. Okay. Tom McGee said the Bunyip.
What the fuck is a bunyip, dude? Y'all be making some shit up. I'm just saying.
I'm Googling Bunyip. I want to know.
Bro, what is
Creature from-
this?
Here we go. Creature from the Aboriginal mythology of southeastern Australia, said to lurk in swamps, billabongs, creeks, riverbeds, and waterholes.
It's like a saber-toothed tiger type of a deal, or like a Tasmanian tiger.
Why is
Crazy.
it named like a cute bunny rabbit name? It's fucking terrifying.
Wait, that looks like my dog, says LFQ. Bro, dogs are built different in Denmark. I've never seen a dog that looks like that. Be careful, bro.
I want to see what skunk ape looks like. We're gonna learn together. And it just looks like Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar with skunk ape. The Yowie has like red eyes though, and they're like ultra violent, and they make like crazy noises.
Yowie?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like Bigfoot too. It's like half the same pictures.
Yep. The Yowie is the Australian. Zinc says the Yeti. Yeah, that's the
That's the Nepalese
Southwest
one.
Asian. Yeah, Southwest Asian Sasquatch is the
We're
Yeti.
learning our cryptid history here, guys.
Specific to large apes. The funniest thing about this fucking myth to me is that it's pervasive, like it's global throughout human culture, but there's no fucking evidence of it.
We've
There's
never
no
found one.
bones, there's no hair, there's nothing. So it makes me think, like, I always think the easiest explanation is this is like a feral human, like just some crazy like
Just a big hairy dude.
hermit. Yeah, some hermit dude that's like unshaved and super unclean. That would explain the skunk ape. They just smell really bad because humans can be super pungent. And I bet if you're out in the Everglades and you are washed and you don't have your human aroma coming off of you, that's someone who has been out there for like 5 years or a decade or some shit. They probably smell real fucking bad. Oh yeah, Yowie. We have a version of a Kinder Egg candy named after the Yowie. No shit, dude, that's cool. Does it still have like the little toys inside?
Is it supposed to be a Yowie egg? Is that the joke?
Wait, Yowies lay eggs? Man, y'all got some fucking insane shit in Australia. I love it. And yes, cryptozoology hours. We're here for it.
Everybody name your favorite cryptid.
Oh fuck, dude. I think mine might be the rake, only because the rake is like really interesting. It's a contemporary one. Or Mothman or Jersey Devil. I like both of those too. Those are great. Nothing like biting down on a chocolate and you get a mouthful of plastic toys. Dude, that's the key, bro.
Okay, explain this rake thing to me.
Okay, so the rake came from internet lore. It's kind of like the Slenderman where like it didn't exist until people started talking about it, and there's an idea that talking about the rake, it's kind of similar to a skinwalker in that regard, where like when you talk about it, it like manifests. So, you know, it makes it extra spooky because you're not even supposed to discuss it. But it's like real creepy, and it like looks like this and will like come into your house at night and like feed on your dreams and shit. I don't know, it's weird. It's just maximum creepypasta, I think. That's what I like about it. It's very like meta for 2025.
All right, what do we got? LFQ says I'm basic. I like Nessie. Striva says gotta go unicorn, national animal of Scotland. Is that true?
Yeah.
Mine is a flesh pit.
Yes, dude.
Adder is Vin a water or water type dude? Slenderman. I don't even understand what that means.
I say water, but he's talking about like
Vince.
accent. Yeah. I said
Vin.
Slenderman, but I do that all the time. Like, it's just funny to me because of like John Goodman instead of John Goodman, or like Feels Bad Man. I'll say Feels Badman. You know, like that's just how I do it.
Spiderman, Saucepan.
Yeah, it's Spooderman actually, but yeah.
Oh, Spooderman, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Also, pluralization of Batman is Batsmen's. In case anyone's wondering.
I wanted to say Bunyip is a monster in Final Fantasy X. Yes, is that FFX? But my messages failed to send for the last few minutes.
Slenderman is just an unreleased Pikmin. True. Absolutely true.
Oh, look at that. It is.
So Tony, do you know about water or water?
No.
So
I mean, like, that's how people say it in places.
yeah, in like the Northeast, it's like a Philadelphia type thing. You say water.
Yeah.
I do have an accent. It's a weird accent, but I absolutely do. Best example I can give, Adder, is that there was this place that we like to go at Bungie for lunch, or I don't remember exactly where it was, but anyway, it was called Osaka's, and I, because of the way I speak with my accent, will say Osaka's. That sounds like I'm saying it with an A. I'm fully aware that it's with an O, and it's just a part of my accent. So I change things up a lot with how I speak. Yeah, no judgment received either. I didn't feel that way at all. I've lived all over the country and interacted with a bunch of people. Sometimes I get a little Texas, which is fun. I don't know when it happens, but I'll just be very Texan with some of my I guess aphorisms. I don't know what the right word is for it. Yeah. What kind of Coke y'all want?
Sprite.
Yeah, Sprite. Big Red. I was a Big Red fan as a kid.
I'll have some iced tea.
Yeah, sweet tea.
So what kind of Coke you want? Love it.
I guess sweet tea is not really a Texan thing. That's more of a deep South. But there's definitely like iced tea in Texas. No, dude, they do not fuck around with the tea. But Texas is different. It's not. That's like that's a hard thing to explain to people who don't know and who've never been to the South. Like, you can consider Texas a part of the South, but culturally, Texas is Texas. It's not the same fucking thing. Then like Texas type shit is different from, you know, Southern United States culture, which is, it's got its own thing. So like Texas barbecue is different. Texas tea is different. Texas slang is different. Multiple tea houses and one real restaurant, bro. Austin is cooked. Austin is cooked, bro. It's over.
No, they're trying to do tea like Dutch Bros or something now, right? Where like you go to a place and get a $5 tea.
I don't know. Tony, have you ever been to the Dushanbe Tea House in Boulder?
The fancy Nepalese tea house thing that they like shipped over.
Yes. But it's like Kazakhstan or something like that. Or Pakistan.
Yeah. We did go there for like a high tea thing a year or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was like an international exchange thing, because like Boulder shares the same coordinates on the opposite side of the globe as like a place in Japan and like a place in Southwest Asia, all that shit. So there's a lot of like cultural crossover for the other side of the world, at least in the northern hemisphere, with Boulder. I sound very American. I'm often telling people I'm not from there. You got to understand, Aussies love hanging shit on the American accents. If I had poor self-esteem, I just wouldn't survive. Dude, that's what I love about Aussies. Y'all just fuck with each other constantly, man. It's kind of my favorite thing. It's like, I think culturally, Australians and Americans are very similar. Obviously, we have massive differences in certain regards, but I think like I tend to relate more easily to Aussies than like anyone else in the former Commonwealth, right? Like maybe it's because I've got a little bit of Southern in me too. We're different flavors of outcasts from the British Empire. We're not proper, we're very salt of the earth type of people. I feel that. Dutch Bros is out here now. HTO is a big one. That's a weird business name.
Dude, they got all these like crazy places, and I know they're huge with like, the LDS community who don't drink caffeine or, alcohol or anything like that. They go get like a dirty soda or, a fancy tea or something. That's like a huge business model now.
Adder, you ever fuck with New Braunfels? I feel like I've asked you about this. I haven't been to New Braunfels since like the very early 90s, but I remember loving, like, that was the first like German hamlet I'd ever really experienced that I could remember. I did live in Europe for like the first 5 years of my life, so that's why I know about Kinder eggs. Just down in New Braunfels? Hell yeah, dude. The only thing I really remember because I was so young is Schlitterbahn. So hopefully Schlitterbahn is still there and it's thriving.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
River float all the time. Yes. Okay, now you're jogging my memory. River float for sure, dude. And I remember going to aquifers a bunch in the Austin area. Schlitterbahn is still there. Fuck yeah.
There's that crazy, it's like an outdoor pool in Austin, but they basically just like made a pool that the river flows through. And it's just like in the river. Did you ever go there?
Yeah.
That looks really cool. I've seen videos of
Barton Springs, dude. Adder knows. There we go. That was it. I couldn't remember what it was called. Yeah, Barton Springs is dope.
Next time I go to Austin, I really want to see that because it was one of the things I didn't get to do when I was there.
Dude, the shit is so crazy because it's like, it's so much better than a pool because you don't have like, the flowing water means that they don't really have to chlorinate it. So
Yep.
it's just nice. It's very comfy and it gets fucking hot in Austin, really hot. So finding places to cool off is kind of like a core piece of Texas. Tom McGee says the closest cultural analog I've found is people from New Jersey, and Australians in general share the same disposition. That's fucking hilarious.
That's so good.
Like I appreciate the Aussie perspective on that. I don't know that I would necessarily agree, but yeah, I could feel that.
I don't know that I would want that for my culture, but
I feel like no, Texans are too like proper. Maybe like Tennessee, because you still have like a lot of the charm and friendliness, but there's like a little bit of roughness around the edges. No, that's more like Southern debutante type of a thing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right with New Jersey. Like, a little trashy, but also good people. Yeah, you can float in the springs and listen to free concerts. Dude, the music. Adder, did I tell you about Aquafest? Yeah, I think we talked about that, and you were like, Aquafest isn't around anymore. I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers at Aquafest when I was like 8 years old in like 1992. That was a wild time. Yeah, that's why I was saying I don't know that I see the cultural similarity there because yeah, people in the Northeast can be really hostile. Like they're just kind of mean, and I don't know that I've met very many Aussies that are so serious that they're mean. Like you got to do a lot of shit to piss Aussies off, right? Brightside knows about New Jersey. The difference is people don't like New Jersey, but people like Australia. Yeah. I think that's fair, Strava. Yeah, Brightside, what's your take on Jersey as a New York State resident? Oh yeah, South by Southwest. That was it. That was the conversation. You're like, South by Southwest took it over. Yeah, because South by Southwest is like too rotten now, and it's like it's grown too big. It's a different thing. Yeah, you'll see another music festival for sure. Adder, what's your take on Austin being like the fastest growing metro area in the country and like the cultural changes happening there? Because I imagine a part of you, like as you become Texan, you're like, wait a minute, I like this. I don't want it to fucking change, man. Very like King of the Hill vibes, you know, and not in a derogatory way. I love King of the Hill. I think it's primarily the culture of expressing affection through abuse. Yes, dude. Like kind of like the toxic masculinity type of a thing. Yes, I feel that. So, okay. Tom McGee, I will say that I think the closest analog for me to Aussies in American culture is like military service member culture, because that's how it is. You're always, as you say, taking the piss, right? You're just fucking with your boys, and like the banter is nonstop. And no one ever really takes it seriously because that's just the way it goes. You know, it's kind of like the gallows humor, stoic approach to existence type of a thing. And I think that's why, you know, I grew up in a military family. So for me, that's very much a part of my personal culture. And just like razzing each other over the fucking smallest things is like really normal. So yeah, nah, it's easy to tick off an Aussie. Just make a Milo with cold water or Milo or Milo. I think it's Milo. Here, I'll try to read it in Aussie accent. Yeah, no, it's easy to tick off an Aussie. Just make a Milo with cold water or act any sort of personal pride at all. We'll cut you down to size real quick. How's that? Did I fuck it up? Adder like the yes, dude. What the fuck is a Milo, dude? I promise I'm not making fun of you. I love the Aussie accent. I think it's my favorite English accent. I'll give you some hell yeah, brothers, if you want that. And get the real thick American accent. Freedom. Guns. Big trucks. Rolling coal. Aussie from North Carolina with a speech impediment. Thank you, Adder. Thank you. You cheeky drongo.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that.
Yeah, you can.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's cultural appropriation from Australia. Yeah. A drongo's like a weird bird. Did I say it right, Tom McGee? Also, I hope you don't hate me for doing that. If you do, I understand. Milo's a chocolate drink. Yeah, is it Milo or Milo? Oh, it's like Nestle Quick. Malt powder. Chocolate malt powder. Oh, but it's not like Nestle Quick because it was developed in Australia by Thomas Maine in 1934. So Nestle just bought it. I get the Drongo pass. Yes, dude. Yeah, nah, yeah. Hot take on Vegemite. I've never had it. I feel like I'd fuck with it, but I eat weird shit, so.
He'll eat anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good test of is Vegemite palatable, because Vince will drink like weird grass jelly soda that I buy at H Mart when I find it, just to go, I wonder if Vince will eat this.
Yep. So. In fairness, there were too many aloe chunks in that grass jelly, and like as I got to the bottom, I was like, oh, I don't want to chew my drink. And it was kind of reminding me of like the texture of curdled milk in a way. It was gross. Are the magpies always a threat, or is there a specific season? I think magpies are protected, and that's why they're a threat, Strava.
Where are magpies abroad? Is this an Australian thing?
Yeah, magpies are really aggressive in Australia, and there's nothing you can do about it because I think they're protected. Because people would like kill them a lot. The joke is we actually love that shit, and I do too. Nice.
I mean, I feel like my wife would probably also like Vegemite because she just kind of gets down with like really umami kind of strange food like that. Definitely not for me though.
LFQ, I could try it, and I'm definitely down. Like in Korean cuisine, they do a lot of like highly fermented stuff. The hard part for me is the bitter, the heavy alkaline flavors that come from fermenting like seafood over a long period of time. It's definitely an acquired taste. I'd probably do surströmming with like aquavit or whatever. You know, as long as I have a good chaser for it, it's probably fine. I don't know that I'd be like, yeah, I'm loving this. I'd be like, this is tough to eat, but I'll eat it. There are genuinely mating seasons where they put safety ads on TV about magpies. Dude, that's great.
That's so crazy.
One of the more interesting things to me about magpies is they have like regional bird call dialects. So like the magpies in Mexico sound like tropical birds, and the magpies out here sound kind of like crows. So I wonder what Aussie magpies sound like. Wait, would you call a magpie what'd you say? A cheeky drongo?
Yeah, cheeky drongo.
That's where I was at. I was like, would you call a magpie a drongo? Or is a drongo like a different bird? I think a drongo is a different bird, but also, sorry, Tom, we're all very interested in Aussie culture. We love it. Adder says I used to work at a Swedish game studio and someone opened a can of surströmming in the kitchen. And I had to leave work early. Amazing. Yeah, I don't doubt it, man. I bet it smelled fucked up. That's another thing that puts me off a little bit about Korean food is like when you go into a Korean restaurant, it doesn't smell good necessarily. There's a lot of like fermentation and like funkiness going on with like the smell of grilled meats, and it gets a little mixed and weird. I personally think it kind of smells like farts sometimes, but I still like it. I love Korean food. It was in NYC, so all our windows were bolted shut, and it smelled like death for days. Oh my god! Amazing. Imagine saying microwaving fish is the worst thing you could do. No, open surströmming in the fucking kitchen, dude. I don't know who that is, Striva. Is that a
YouTuber?
Okay.
Yeah. Makes like animated explainer videos about intellectual topics.
10-day-old microwave shrimp would have been a relief. Yo, dude, that's fucked up, man.
That's
Imagine
crazy.
Being a human being that microwaves shrimp and then eats it. Like, I prefer my very heavily fish flavored and smelling food to be pure rubber. Yeah, I mean, like, South Korea is having a tough go of things right now. It's pretty wild in a lot of parts of the world, Striva. It was a very real joke because someone on the team would regularly microwave fish for lunch. What the fuck, dude? Why would you do that? That's like what was it? It was like some commercial I saw that was really funny because one of the guys is like microwaves his fish and they're like, oh, what the fuck? They're all like not saying anything to him about it and they're all like really upset. And he's like, where did I put my mayonnaise? It's like microwaving fucking herring or something. Oh my god. And then he puts mayonnaise on it. Like, oh. That guy's got an insane palate. I bet you that, dude. To enjoy food like that, you probably smoke a lot of cigars. Otherwise, everything just tastes like wood. This shit just makes me want to work at home, and then COVID hit. COVID was the savior, dude. Shuda puts ketchup on his fish. I like if you're talking fish sticks and like breaded fish, that's fine. I could like
that. Salmon, I'm gonna vomit.
Salmon with ketchup, dude. Yes, bro. the fucking seasoned palate of a veteran connoisseur. Not fish sticks.
Oh man, that's tough.
We were talking about, I was playing Monster Hunter with him last night, and we were talking about grilling meat. And I was like, you know, I got to say that I think the rare steak should actually be the better one because the well done steak is the higher quality. Then he goes, yeah, I don't know, man. Well done. It doesn't even have any ketchup on it. And I was like, rare steak is way better. That's the kind of thing I would make a character do if I was writing a cartoon and wanted the audience to know they fucking sucked. Yes, dude. We have some fish products where mayo is used. Okay, so LFQ, I think, like, we do too. Like, tuna salad is, you know, tuna mixed with mayo and, like, celery. So I get that. But, like, I think if you're like microwaving trout and then you put mayo on it, like, oh, dog, what are you doing? Yeah, every US sushi roll. I mean, sushi rolls are for Western palates anyway. Adder, I do eat some sushi rolls. The funny thing is, like, I usually eat weird sushi. Well, like, weird for a Westerner, right? Octopus and surf clam are my favorite, and I usually get sashimi or nigiri. But I also get like other weird fish too. Just, I'm like, give me something that's cool and good, and I go for that. When I go for a sushi roll, it's usually not like, I just go for like California rolls because I really like crab stick because I'm a fucking weirdo like that. But I don't know, fake crab is good, man. No, I'm down to try natto though, like for real. I think the texture is going to be a little funky because it is like sticky and like stringy and like mucusy a bit. But oh yeah, I bet in Texas, Adder. Well, I guess in Austin you could probably find some really good sushi, like very Japanese, you know, centric. A lot of sirloin hybrid rolls out here. Yeah, dude. Actually, I bet that goes fucking hard. Yeah, cream cheese and mayo is definitely like very prolific in Western sushi, especially what is it? It's not makimono. Those are cones. It's the maki hand roll, I think is what it's called. I can't fucking remember, man. I never get it, so I don't know. I wouldn't eat fugu, only because I don't see the reason to risk death from a neurotoxin. Like, it's just that I'm not a person who's like, man, I want to feel alive by almost dying. I've almost died enough times in life that it's not that fun for me. Haven't tried a lot of sushi, just haven't had a lot of good places around here. I could see that, LFQ. In places like Europe where you already have a rich culture that is, you know, generations strong, hundreds or thousands of years, like, I guess not thousands, but like 1,000 years. I could see that being difficult. But in the United States, where we don't really have like a solidified culture, I think that, you know, that's where we get like the melting pot benefit of like people come from another place, they bring their food, their music, their, you know, creative expression and all that. And that's cool. I like that. I don't think that's for everywhere, but I think it's definitely cool that we have that here. I do enjoy my Western European roots. I was just thinking about it. What did I get the other day? I got a pizza called the Kraut, and it had like sauerkraut and mustard and spicy sausage on it. That shit was fucking delicious. Oh, LFQ's spawning marbles, dude.
Yeah, you guys can do marbles if you want.
So Tamagi, this is a Twitch chat integrated thing that we've been building for a while, probably the better part of a year. The way it works is you can use channel points. Eventually, Tony's testing right now, so if you do, you know, bang marble or exclamation point marble, it should spawn a thing. But we've been doing a bunch of these types of things. We want to give you guys a fun way to spend channel points that isn't like, will the streamer win in this game? And you get nothing out of it. So we'd like to adapt it to a system where you can like vote on stuff for the stream, what game we play, whether or not I regrow my beard, stuff like that.
Use it for RNG, like wheel spin type things, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah.
Giveaways, you know, as we get closer to launching Hyperskate, which, by the way, Tom McGee, I know that you already followed us on a bunch of stuff. The YouTube subs help a lot. But if you want to check out what we're working on, we have a trailer for Hyperskate at the top of that page. And the best way to keep in touch with us, if you want help like learning about game dev or you have questions about anything, all of that stuff, the best way to keep in touch with us is to join the Discord. We stream only 4 hours a week. So 2 hours this morning and then 2 hours tomorrow in the afternoon. And we're mountain time, so yeah.
To talk about like some nerd shit related to this real quick too, I did something yesterday that I think is pretty cool, but this whole Niagara based system, I have exporting data back to a blueprint so that I can, you know, attach logic to when particles enter certain areas and stuff. But one of the things that is very limiting, I guess, in the engine is that they only give you effectively 3 fields to export in that data when you do it, and you can't really change it without like modifying a bunch of like engine C++ stuff under the hood. And I started looking into it, and it was a lot spicier than I expected it to be, because you have to have like a corresponding shader that goes with it and all sorts of stuff. But so anyways, I was trying to figure out how to pass a little bit more data from Niagara into this blueprint thing, and I figured out a way to basically just pack multiple values into each of those 3 fields that I have. And some of those fields are vectors, so they technically have like 3 fields in them, but I did a thing, for example, here where I can take the velocity of these particles and I can just round it back down to the nearest whole number, which is usually just taking off a very small, you know, decimal point percentage of its speed. And then I can take another value and I can say divide it by 1,000, and then I can add it onto that number that I just rounded down. And so if I took like 2 numbers like 5 and 128, I could combine them together into 5.128, put that into a single field, and then basically unpack that on the other side in the blueprints. And that has allowed me to send right now twice as many values through as I was able to before. And I was looking into it, and I think the precision in the engine would allow me to do it with like maybe 1 more set. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is why we have nubbies at home.
Yeah,
it's not nubbies, but you know, nubbies at home.
We want to make this into a game, and we were playing nubbies all weekend. Like I was saying, we found some inspiration in it that we want to kind of apply to this, but I was struggling to be able to accomplish some of the things that I thought we were going to need to be able to do because of that limitation of only being able to effectively transmit through like position, velocity, and 1 arbitrary float value with each particle. I want to know like who spawned the particle, and maybe have the particles have like values or something like that, so we can apply a score to them. And being able to just track all of that was starting to get difficult. But if you saw the system that I had before, I set all of this up where they were changing colors when they would go down the ramp. That was kind of a test system for what I was just explaining.
Hell yeah, numbers,
math. Yep.
My eyes kind of glazed over there for a minute when you started talking about the number values. I was like, but it's okay. It's all good. Numbers don't work for me. Yeah, of course you love math, Adder. Everything you do is math. I'm a vibes merchant.
Everything is math, so
yeah. Well, not vibes. I'm a vibes merchant. I guess there's probably a mathematical formula you could apply to vibes, but I don't know that it would work out too well. When I'm trying to feel the numbers, it's usually like, yeah, it's some kind of like 4 or a 12. Obviously, numbers don't work that way. You don't love math, but your employer pays you to? All right, that's fair. That's totally fair. I definitely like, have always been intrigued by math as the nature or the language of nature and like the cosmos. I think that's very cool. So I'd like to understand math in that capacity, and that's easier for me than like you got to understand geometry first. You know, then I'm like, I don't care. What
This
is
board definitely needs some tuning, but I made like bombs and stuff that'll, you know, explode the particles everywhere, and we're gonna do a bunch more stuff like that.
Striva wants to know what this music is, Tony.
Super Metroid OST.
Ah. Oh, I turned myself up too loud. Sorry, chat.
Yeah, it's a banger. That and Link to the Past, probably the best music on the Super Nintendo.
Funny that I only made it through basic algebra in school and now do vector math for a living. Yeah, man.
Oh, interesting. See, I like got to calculus in school and was like pretty naturally okay at math and just did not enjoy doing it and didn't see a purpose for it. Nobody ever told me like, hey, you can make video games if you're good at this, because then I probably would have cared. But didn't touch it until, you know, the last 5 years, and it's all kind of started coming back to me now. But yeah, did not give a shit back then, that's for sure.
And it's definitely my fault with Weird Candy going like, hey, Tony, we need like a physics system in space and VR. And he's like, fuck. But no, he got it.
Well, and like, if people are sitting here wondering like, why does math factor in so much, like, there's just basic stuff that you have to do like a billion times, and no matter what game you're making, like draw a line between two objects in 3D space or something like that. Like, that is something that is mostly just kind of handled by the game engine, but ultimately under the hood, it's just kind of like a basic like trigonometry, like sine, cosine, tangent type thing. And it's all that shit under the hood. And before we had Unreal Engine and people were just like hand coding these things, you very much had to know all of that math to be able to do just about anything.
Striva says I failed algebra in high school, went to college, and my first math class was trig. I can somewhat relate to that.
People are generally either calculus people or geometry people. And I feel like, so I just say that to say, like, if algebra was hard, you might have gone to trig and gone like, this actually makes sense. And
yep.
I see that happen to a lot of people. So
I think algebra was easier for me, but I somehow, like, I didn't have the geometry required for trig, but I still took trig and passed it. So it took a lot of effort because I basically had to learn trig without knowing geometry, and that was really challenging.
I don't even feel like I went to a bad school, but I just like look back and I'm like, they did not do a good job of like explaining how this is related and how it builds upon each other and like how it might apply to like the real world. And I just understand it so much better now, and I look back and I'm like, man, they could have done such a better job with this, and they never did.
Imagine the Common Core kids who learned like relational weird math,
man,
for like doing shorthand tip calculations, and they don't fucking know anything else about actual math.
You ever see those guys that do like the weird finger flicking thing, but they can like do math insanely fast?
Yep.
That shit's wild.
A bunch of math things just make sense in my head. When I was in grade 9, I was helping my sister with her uni vector calculation. Nice, dude.
There are people like that. It just intuitively makes a lot of sense to them and just isn't hard. That's awesome.
Yeah, math is different for me. It's like grasping smoke. It like is right there, but I can't quite get it. My classes were Monday, Wednesday. I ended up also going to the Tuesday, Thursday classes at night. Nice. Just so that you could like really grasp trig. That makes sense. I mean, trig is super important. Without it, like, rocketry wouldn't work. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very important discipline, I think. Ballistics doesn't work, which rocketry is just advanced ballistics.
And it's all just basically advanced geometry.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Geometry with more variables.
Yep. And like specific interconnected relationships between things. That's it. Yeah. And like now you're just talking about physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it all goes together.
I see why they teach it that way, because like you got to understand the simplest form to get to the most complex form, which is physics math, and that's where it's all like theoretical math. But for me, the way my brain works, I want to start with physics, and then I can understand the relationship backwards. I don't know why I work that way, but that's just how I do. So early math, especially high school math, was so fucking boring to me. Yeah, and also 1 semester later, you don't remember anything. Spam marble, chat.
Did it already break?
You type marble.
Oh, I added an S. I don't even know my own command. There we go. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I can spam way more than you guys, so I'm doing it.
So they should be the color of your name when they spawn. That's how you can kind of tell which ones are yours.
Are there green ones in there? There are green ones. We did it. Nice. Those are my green marbles, Strava. Those are not yours. I just wanted to point out.
There's 2 different greens in here.
Damn
Currently, I think I'm going to use the color to track the user because I can't really figure out a better way to do it yet. So it'll be good even if there's just tiny subtle differences in the color like that.
Yeah, so imagine you could spend channel points to drop the bomb on the side that Tony was showing.
Yes, or maybe there's a laser. Like, I want to do this thing with materials. That's like a big thing that I'm trying to do next, where like you have this base kind of like matte ball that isn't shiny or anything like that, and then there's like upgrades to it or something where like it becomes like polychrome or it becomes like glowing or something like that, and that makes it maybe worth more points, or maybe you spend more channel points to get special variants or something. So still playing around with that, but I have, you know, that system that I was talking about with being able to import the data out in and out of Niagara the way that I want to is going to support that. So that was a big reason I had to get that set up.
So think about it like this. We could do a contest or a giveaway for like a Hyperskate code, and it would be like if chat is able to get, you know, 50,000 points during the stream by engaging with the coin pusher, you know, the top points scorers, because we can track that, win a code. So everyone plays to benefit each other. But think like this is an abstract of like a raffle. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I spent 10,000 points and I got, you know, 100 tickets in the raffle. It's that essentially at its most basic level, but you guys get to watch it and enjoy it and play with it.
And maybe your marbles spawn in and they're normal and matte, and there's a gate it can pass through on the board or something that makes it polychrome. It makes it worth 10 times the points. Or maybe the bomb goes off and blows it off the board and it doesn't score anymore. Like there will be some level of like RNG to like what the outcome will be when you put something in, just inherently, so that it's not just like I put 10 coins in and, you know, there's nothing else that happens there after that. So
Nubby's at home.
Yep.
Yeah, save those channel points, boys. They'll be worth something one day.
I mean, shit, you got to watch the Brightside stream for like a month before you can John Cena. So I've been saving really hard for that shit.
Fucking Fractal Grove channel points. We're gonna, you know, we'll never rug you guys either on your channel points. They'll be useful.
Yeah, we'll have an underground black market channel points ring like Brightside does.
You can trade channel points. Yeah.
Buy them for real money.
Yeah, I hope not. That would be awful. But yes, we're joking.
Yeah. But to that point, like bits and subs and all of that definitely will be something where like you will get a cool benefit from that. And you know, this is definitely going to tie over to the drum sheds thing too. Like I kind of want to put this thing in the middle of like the crazy crowd with the fucking lights going on, and have the LED screen in the back and stuff, and just kind of like bring all of it together, and it'll be very cool. So
yeah,
working on getting it there, but it's coming.
Don't join Brightside's channel points wallet. He's gonna steal your info. Bright, yo, thank you for using the Hyperskate thing. That was cool, man. I'm glad you did something with it. And if you guys want to see what it is, Brightside put a Hyperskate Easter egg into Slice and Dice, his survival crafting pizza shop simulator game.
I appreciate you doing that now because it's gonna force us to get that game shipped because you can't have an Easter egg to a game that doesn't exist in your game.
I mean, we're gonna ship that game, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But now we have even more motivation.
Yeah, we're working on it. We've got a couple of people who are interested in helping out, which is great. Always appreciate that. But finding a way for them to be helpful is a tricky part.
For the last like 10 minutes here, I can actually show this movement experiment thing I was making.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Nice, dude. Corn dog emoji. I like it. That's an exuberant corn dog, man.
Got a wiggle and everything.
Yep. Are you just posting disco pups now?
Yep. Save.
The sandwich. That's not a burger. That's crazy.
I mean, I know you don't like the hot dog as a sandwich debate, but a burger is definitely a sandwich.
Yeah, it's called a burger sandwich.
A cheeseburger sandwich. Okay, let me see if I can play this not in VR. It's just that one. Let's see what happens. Yep. This is showing. Okay, yeah. So I've been working on trying to make the hyperscape movement feel a little better and figure out some world partition things and stuff like that. But I was playing Marble It Up, which is a Steam game that's like Marble Madness or something like that, where your character is a marble and you roll around. And I kind of just had the thought, and I've had this thought for a long time, to be honest. I've been saying it to Vince for probably like a year, of just like, maybe the solution is that the character is a ball. And this is also something that I saw Prismatica dev doing kind of for a different purpose, but I wanted to try it out. So I built this controller that has this ball that has physics enabled and has like mass and uses basically the same locomotion setup that our existing Hyperscape controller does, but allows you to kind of control this ball, and it gives you a lot of like weight and momentum and kind of feel that we don't have right now, because in Hyperscape you're technically flying in terms of the controller in the engine, but you're just, gravity's pushing you down and you have no friction, so you slide. But that behaves a little differently than rolling does, and so we have some issues with like getting caught on geometry sometimes, or like the behavior of the movement down something like a big tube doesn't totally feel the way that you would expect it to, and we wanted to try to get that dialed in. And so I can play this in VR and it is very fun to do, but I also have a version set up where I can play it in flat screen like this. And we've just been practicing, trying to see if we can kind of get a controller that behaves a little more like this to feel good, and it's definitely starting to get there. So
Tony Brightside asking if that was inertia being simulated.
It's technically inertia, yeah, totally. I'm not doing any, I didn't like touch any like inertia settings in the engine or anything. It's just like I'm doing like physics impulses, and there's an add torque thing that I've messed around with a little bit, but it doesn't quite feel right when I play it. So yeah.
Adder was asking if I make dry chili. I mean, you probably could, but no, I don't really like cook. Big reason why I don't cook is because I learned to cook when I was at art school, because that was my job, and I fucking hate it now. Like, I went through the entire arc of like, this is kind of cool. I enjoy cooking, all the way into like, I fucking hate cooking because it's my job. I worked at a like bed and breakfast that served high tea, and I had to like bake and cook breakfast and like several course meals and stuff. And then I also worked at a Thai restaurant in the kitchen. My ex-roommate was pretty good at dry steak. Brother would put that shit on the griddle and walk away. Yeah, dude. Just hammered the living shit out of it.
Throw some ketchup on it afterwards.
It's like you're eating a boiled belt or like a shoe. That's criminal, man. Like, as you know, I think one of the best things that we do as American culture goes is like beef. Really good meats in this country, and really wooden palates when it comes to enjoying those meats. I'd ask him if he was prepping leather or making jerky. Yeah. Dry tanning his leather. Best part about Texas, the fucking beef, brother. Yeah, dude. We have very good beef in Colorado as well. We're waiting to take a trip to Texas for some real barbecue. Yes, sir. So be aware, Striva, that Texas barbecue is Texas barbecue. It's not the same as other kinds of barbecue. It's really good. I like barbecue. For me is definitely Texan because that was the first barbecue that I had. I do like other kinds of barbecue, but just be aware. Texas barbecue is its own thing. We have a family friend with 20K acres and a beef ranch. So sick. I like, that's cool to visit. I don't think I would ever want to run that shit, dude. That's so much work. That's like 16-hour days forever. Like 7 days a week.
You ever seen the meme of I want to say it's like big fat dude, and he's just like talking about all the different kinds of barbecue in like very high detail, and then it's always captioned like, you know, me talking about X video game to my friends who don't care about it or something. But he's so spot on. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of work. They have 40-ish cowboys. Yep. Adder, did you ever fuck with Yellowstone, the Kevin Costner show? That shit's really good. Makes me want to live in Montana.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, you gotta ride horses. Like, that's the most critical part of being a cowboy. Chaps the whole deal.
There's parts of Yellowstone too where they go to Texas and like, I don't know, there's a scene where like this girl gets pulled over and she tells the cop that her husband is like a cowboy who's out working on the beef fields, and she doesn't give her a ticket. She's like, you tell your husband thank you and that we really, you know, respect his type around here.
The beef fields.
Yeah. The beef fields. Yep.
Bright side, beef does not grow on trees like Lebanese potatoes, just to let you know.
Lebanese
Awesome rodeo
potatoes
on
is
Friday.
a good side with beef though, for sure.
Adder, the Great Western Stock Show still happens in Denver every year. They drive them through Greeley, I think, in Fort Collins, right? Into Denver.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's very serious. It's a really big deal. Lots of Aussie cowboys out here, actually. They go back and forth to chase spring, summer ranches. Yeah, dude. I believe that. That's why I was saying, you know, I think Aussies have a lot of similarity with like Texas. Big open spaces. Oh, Brightside was asking, you guys hear the new Skrillex? I have not, but Tony has.
Yeah, I've listened to it like 3 times. Because it's really, really good.
What have I been listening to lately? I don't think I've really been listening to anything. I just kind of put music on at the gym nowadays, if that. And usually I put music on at the gym when like they're playing some whack shit like fucking Bob Dylan. Climbing on some rocks. I'm like, fuck, dude, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, exactly, Adder. Australia is very similar to Texas in that regard. A lot of the same types of danger critters. Yep. My headphones fucking died at the gym today. No, dude. That's agony. LFQ's been listening to Kendrick Lamar on loop the last month. Nice, dude. So, Bright, honestly, silence would be preferable at my gym because we have like a lot of young college types that work the front desk, and the people who work the front desk get control over the music playlist that is playing in the gym. So sometimes you'll get like a 20-year-old chick playing folk music, and I'm like, this is a fucking gym.
Or country.
Not even country. They don't play country. They play like indie rock and shit like that. And I'm like, this is not good for gym time. It's all very like subdued vibes. Can't hear Skrillex without thinking about ERB when Mozart called him Skrill excrement. Who was ERB?
I'm going rap battles, but I don't know what E is.
Epic rap battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, LFQ. Sorry, my internet is, my internet culture is not up all the time. Gym music is definitely the worst. I mean, like, I prefer it at the climbing gym when they play EDM, but there are people who really dislike it when EDM is being played. So I put my AirPods in and play EDM. And it's always like the same songs that I've heard before, so because it's my playlist, and I don't know. I really back in the day, I really enjoyed Pandora because I never knew what I wanted to listen to, and Pandora was really good at giving me music that I didn't know that I wanted to listen to. But I don't listen to Pandora anymore. It's very weird. Like, their business model got all fucked up, and there's tons of ads, and it's very unpleasant to consume now.
If you just hit the little ... on a song on Spotify and hit song radio, it'll basically just do what Pandora does based on that song for you.
It doesn't though. I've definitely tried it. It sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely not as good. But Pandora also got like super shitty at a point, very repetitive.
The issue with Spotify is I'll be like, I enjoyed this song, and it's like, okay, cool, it's a Nine Inch Nails song, and then 3 songs later, I'm listening to Taylor Swift, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Song radio based on
I just listen to DJ mixes now because
I noticed they're starting to phase the feature out. Yeah, and like it sucks because I think Pandora's was really good, especially for me because whatever they did with like rhythm DNA or whatever the fuck, so they could kind of tell this is like a similar kind of music and it's not genre or artist. That's what I really liked because I'm not that deep into music. I enjoy listening to music, but that's why I like the Bright Side Beat Off and stuff like that, is because it's really cool to me. I just know enough to be like, this sounds good to me or this doesn't. So all of my opinions on music are just pure subjectivity. No, I'm not really a Swiftie. There are some Taylor Swift songs that are okay, but admittedly, I like them because my wife likes them and was like, this song makes me think of you. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. And that's why I like it. Yeah, I think song radio based on playlist requires a competent DJ, someone who's going to be making a good playlist that like makes sense, which is kind of what I like to do with my playlist. I don't just throw random songs into a lump and then hit, the random button. I will usually put them in an order so that it sounds good. But the problem for me is that because I'm DJing my own listening mix, that I already know what the fuck is going to be on there. And like it becomes dry and boring really quickly. Like 3 listens through and I'm like, I don't really fucking want to do this anymore. And then I just put it on random. And the Spotify random feature is trash. It always plays the same fucking songs from a playlist when you hit random. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, it plays the songs of the people who paid Spotify the most money to make sure that their songs get played.
Yep. Oh, actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm realizing
I've always thought that because like I will have like you can even tell on like one artist if you like say make a playlist and just throw every song that an artist has made into it and then hit random on that, it'll just play like the hits and the more modern recent songs and stuff like that, and it's like it'll completely avoid the deep cuts. And if you like really know an artist really well, then you'll notice very quickly.
Later, Adder. Thanks for hanging out, man.
I think we're gonna wrap it up here too. So
yeah, no worries. What did I miss anything? No, we talked about Switch 2. Mario Kart World, game chat, Switch 2 camera, play together locally on multiple Switches. Also works with some Switch 1 games with one game copy. Double resolution, 1080p, HDR, 120 FPS, two USB-C ports on the top and bottom. 256 gigs of storage. Paid Switch 2 upgrades for games. Metroid Prime 4 mouse aim mode.
Yep.
Drag X Drive, gritty sci-fi.
They're definitely pushing the mouse functionality pretty hard in the Direct. There's a lot of games they showed that used it.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Nintendo Switch Online expansion includes GameCube games. Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX. The Dusk Bloods, which we already went over. Kirby Air Riders, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Stravis says, who was the guy who left Spotify because he didn't like Joe Rogan? Then he was back on it a few months later. I don't know, man.
Andrew Huberman or something?
There's probably a lot of people who did that. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Some people think that shit matters, and it doesn't.
Good news is that the GPU drivers seem to fix my computer. So.
Hell yeah. Okay. You got any? Yeah, you got any final thoughts, Tony?
No, not really. What do you think we're gonna do tomorrow? Nubbies?
Oh shit, I don't even know, man. I didn't think about that.
It's either Nubbies or if we want to continue the VR train, then I would be happy to do To the Top. So
I think Simple Sins was saying you wanted to see Nubbies today, so there might be. Yeah, there were a couple people that were like, "Fuck yeah, Nubbies." So maybe we do.
Nubbies, you know, we could talk about Nubbies for sure.
Yeah. We could at least do a couple playthroughs and talk about item design and stuff like that.
Yep.
All right, sweet.
All right, everybody. Well, hit us up on Discord and come back tomorrow 2 p.m., please. Goodbye.